Mr. Mankiewicz, or shall I call you Herman?
Please, call me Mank. Mank.
Mank. Mank.
Mank.
A sumptuous biopic reveals a lesser-known talent from the golden age of cinema, Claude Chabrol's Femme Fatale, and a sensitive take on a family's transgender journey. That's all coming up in today's film show. And for that, I'm joined by our critic, Lisa Nesselson. Hi, Lisa. Now, David Fincher, who directed Seven, Fight Club, and The Social Network, has made his 11th feature, and this time it's for Netflix. That's out worldwide this week. So tell us more about Mank.
Well, one of my idols, the late American film critic Roger Ebert, would say to anybody who had never seen Citizen Kane, the 1941 film directed by and starring Orson Welles, that he envied them because they were about to discover a masterpiece. Unlike, say, a novel or a painting, when a masterpiece emerges in movie form, many people contributed, including whoever came up with the idea and wrote the script. This is a glorious film. It's about a screenwriter and the inspirations that went into what he considered to be the best thing he'd ever written. Mank stars Gary Oldman as Herman Mankiewicz, a 43-year-old writer who, like the 24-year-old Orson Welles, was lured from New York to Los Angeles to tell stories on film. Mank looks at Hollywood in the 1930s through Mankiewicz's eyes. We meet him as an alcoholic who has recently broken his leg. Wells dispatches him to a ranch in the Mojave Desert to dry out and to write a screenplay. He has 60 days. And the screenplay will be turned into one of the greatest motion pictures of all time, perhaps the greatest, Citizen Kane, the portrait of a very wealthy and very powerful American press baron with a nagging sense of loneliness, perhaps rooted in his childhood. In 2 hours and 11 minutes, Fincher and his marvelous cast introduce us to everything from the machinations of the studio system to Louis B. Mayer of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, MGM, dismissing Adolf Hitler in 1934 as somebody whose appeal may seem like it's catching on, but is sure to wane.
Certainly a very different time. Well, let's get a glimpse of the less dreamy aspects of the Dream Factory in Mank.
Do come in.
At this rate, you will never finish.
You said 90 days. Well, said 60. I'm doing the best I can.
I've put up with your suicidal drinking, your compulsive gambling, your silly platonic affairs. You owe me, Herman.
Who do you think you are?
You're nothing but a court jester.
What I want to know is what you think of it.
It's a bit of a jumble, a collection of fragments that leap around in time like Mexican jumping beans.
Welcome to my mind, old sock.
Mank formed a friendship with Marion Davies, wonderfully portrayed here by Amanda Seyfried, unfairly assumed to be the model for the untalented Susan Alexander Kane in Citizen Kane. Davies was a gifted comic actress who started out in the silent years, but is best remembered for her romantic partnership with the much older press baron William Randolph Hearst.
Not just a pretty face then. So this is clearly heaven for serious film buffs like yourself. But what about us civilians? Can we enjoy it?
Well, this is only the second time I've ever watched anything bankrolled by Netflix, and I fell off my chair when I saw that the genre they have it listed under is the word cerebral. Since the chess-themed series Queen's Gambit caught on the platform, apparently chess sets have sold out all over the U.S. from sudden demand. Well, once tens of millions of people have watched Mank, maybe there will be a run on the trenchant observations and acerbic witticisms. Wells's associate John Houseman's advice to Mank is write hard, aim low. He bucked that advice and aimed very high indeed. In a poignant true touch, the screenplay for Mank was written some 30 years ago by David Fincher's own father, Jack, who died in 2003. It couldn't be more pertinent because it shows just how spooked the power structure was by the specter of socialism in the policies of author turned gubernatorial candidate Upton Sinclair. Old-fashioned details include magnificent black and white photography and an unsettling score.
Indeed, the aesthetics there are certainly very impressive. Well, next, the two chief film critics at the New York Times have just drawn up a list of the 25 people they're anointing as the best actors of the 21st century so far. Denzel Washington has the #1 spot, followed by France's own Isabelle Huppert. Yinka Oyetade tells us more.
Huppert. Isabelle, bonjour.
Bonjour, Danielle.
In 1976, at just 23 years old, Isabelle Huppert was already being hailed as the future of French cinema. But the young actress would go on to receive several nods and awards on the world stage as well. 44 years later, Isabelle Huppert has been named the second best actor of the century by the New York Times, second only to Denzel Washington. It's a feature that has the French brimming with pride.
I'm always really happy when a French person is recognised like this. It's a pleasure to see.
The French are the best. French actors are the best.
It's great to see a French actress get noticed and be in the limelight. And maybe there are even others who deserve this just as much as she did.
Isabelle Huppert has a long list of accolades that make the New York Times rating no surprise. Her performances over the last 4 decades have earned her 2 interpretation awards from the Cannes Film Festival. She has also been awarded 2 Césars, the French equivalent to the Oscars, and a Golden Globe. Over the past 20 years, Isabelle Huppert has taken on more international roles, both in front of the camera and on stage. Directors over the years have been amazed by Huppert's ability to play the most complex of characters. The Oscar-nominated actress can be mysterious, psychotic, and fanatic.
She's an actress that can do it all. She takes account of everything, even the smallest subtleties. Isabelle Huppert is always looking for more than what's written in the script.
The French cinema giant's latest film is La Daronne, where she plays the head of a large drug trafficking operation. The film is set to revisit big screens all around France when cinemas reopen on the 15th of December.
So, Lisa, what do you think of this ranking?
Oh, 'tis the season for silly lists. A lot of work went into this. But while I agree that all 25 people have given splendid performances since the turn of this century, you have to raise an eyebrow at any such list that omits Deep Breath, Christian Bale, Matt Damon, Cate Blanchett, Leonardo DiCaprio, Meryl Streep, Nicole Kidman, Amy Adams, Viggo Mortensen. I could go on. I'm delighted, if amused, that Huppert landed second place, making her the greatest actress of the century, if you go in for hyperbole. But I think it's misjudged to relegate Catherine Deneuve to 21st place. Charles de Gaulle once said that Brigitte Bardot was France's most important export besides automobiles. However they're ranked, we're lucky to be the beneficiaries of their beauty and talent.
I must agree with that. Well, speaking of women on screen, French distributor Carlotta Films is releasing a box set now of 5 films directed by the late Claude Chabrol, highlighting suspense but with a feminine twist.
And 3 of those 5 films star Huppert, who had a stupendous long-term working relationship with Claude Chabrol. Chabrol arguably kicked off the French New Wave with his debut feature, Le Beau Serge, in 1958. He went on to make a film a year, sometimes 2, until his death in 2010. Women don't get hired to direct as often as men do, but it's worth remembering that great actresses contribute so much, and Chabrol worked with the best. In 1960, Chabrol directed one of my favorites, Les Bonnes Femmes, which examines the lives of 4 young single women who have dreary jobs in a parent's appliance store. In 1968, Chabrol made Les Biches, or The Does, one of 22 films featuring his first wife, Stéphane Audran. This is a 3-pronged love triangle, 2 branches of which are lesbian to bisexual. Not something we see often, even now. 12 of the last 16 films Chabrol directed center on women, who he decreed to be the worthwhile subject for a filmmaker. He loved to surround himself with women on his crews, from screenwriters to technicians. This exquisite box set with custom-commissioned new covers from award-winning artist Kiko Sternberger includes 1995's La Cérémonie, adapted from Ruth Rendell's novel A Judgment in Stone. Boy, does this hold up. It's the class struggle, which Chabrol liked to say, oddly enough, didn't end when the Berlin Wall fell, writ large. Sandrine Bonnaire plays a maid who comes to work for a very nice bourgeois family. She has a secret. She can't read or write. She is befriended by the local postmistress, played by Huppert. Let's just say no good turn goes unpunished. Great cast, great sardonic tone.
Well, we're moving to more contemporary material now. The Franco-German TV channel Arte is broadcasting a documentary called Petite Fille, or Little Girl, directed by Sebastian Lifshitz. This is an intimate look at trans identity from a very early age. Tell us more.
Well, when people hear about trans identity or transphobia or transitioning, we tend to think of adults. Little Girl, as the title suggests, follows roughly a year in the life of Sasha, who was born with a boy's body, but told his mom at age 2.5 that he's a girl. Mom admits that she wanted a girl and feels guilty that those thoughts might have altered her child's biology in the womb. A medical specialist assures her that that's not what happened. We don't know what causes gender dysphoria, but we do know more and more about how to align people with their gender destiny via hormones and surgery, and in the case of the prepubescent, careful attention to timing. It's not a perversion or a lifestyle choice or a trend. It's simply the way things are. Lifshitz captures extraordinary moments in the lives of a French family like any other, mom, dad, 4 children, except one child was born with the wrong biological body.
And some might say that trans identity is one of the last major taboos in film and television, which is now finally getting some realistic and compassionate treatment.
That may be true. Real-life trans pioneer Jan Morris died recently at age 91. As a man, she broke the news to the world of the scaling of Mount Everest. And as a woman, she continued to write with talent and bottomless curiosity. I think the first movie that caught my attention was probably Trans-America, in which Felicity Huffman played a trans woman 15 years ago. I found it touching, but now there would probably be outcry about a cisgender woman playing a trans role. More recently here in France, in 2017, in Lola Pater, Fanny Ardant played a woman whose son seeks her out as his father 25 years after she embraced her trans identity. While the film is uneven, Franco-Algerian director Nadir Moknash dares to take on hundreds of years of patriarchy. Lifshitz makes you feel as if you're right there with a truly wonderful mom who only wants a happy childhood for Sasha.
And indeed, Sebastian Lifshitz's other documentaries are certainly worth checking out. Thank you so much for this week's Roundup, Lisa. We'll leave you with a clip of Little Girl. Remember, you can get more movie news on our website, and you can keep up with us on social media too. There's more news coming up on France 24 just after this.
Je vois pas en quoi ça dérange les gens. Qu'est-ce que ça peut leur faire? Ma gamine passe à côté de son enfance. Je trouve ça dégueulasse.
C'est pas une question de tolérer, ou pour moi c'est sa chapeau.
Je lui dis de toute façon c'est son combat, mais c'est le mien aussi. Je sais que ça sera le combat de ma vie.
Tu n'es pas la seule pour qui c'est comme ça. On en voit d'autres, des enfants dans cette situation.